Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Chapter 4, Text 79. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrī Parīkṣit uvāca. śrṇvann idaṁ kṛṣṇa-padābja-lālaso. dvāravatī-santata-vāsa-lampaṭaḥ. utthāya cotthāya mudāntarāntarā. śrī-nārado nṛtyad alaṁ sa-hūṅkṛtam. Śrī Parīkṣit said, upon hearing these words, Śrī Nārada became uncontrollably eager to see the lotus feet of Krishna. He simply wanted to go to Dvārakā and live there forever. He stood up, sat down, and stood up again. He danced enthusiastically, filled with inner joy, and made loud cries. Commentary: hearing the description of the glories of Krishna and his beloved devotees, Narada remembered how much he had enjoyed staying in Dvārakā whenever he could. Govinda Bhuja Guptayam Dvarakayam Kurudvaha Avatsin Nārado Bhikshnam kṛṣṇa-padābja-lālaso. Eager to engage in the worship of Lord Krishna, O best of the Kurus, Narada Muni stayed for some time in Dvārakā, which was always protected by the arms of Govinda. Bhāgavatam 11.2.1. Though Hanuman was still speaking, Narada could not help but interrupt him with shouts of joy. By this time, Narada's ecstasy had become uncontrollable. Omagana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are following Narada Muni's journey, which is the same philosophical journey that one goes on when studying the Bhagavatam, because it is the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is a summary of the Bhagavatam by Maharaj Parikṣit to his mother Uttara in the last half day of his life. And that's a progressive journey to deeply understand and realize and feel devotional service, pure devotional service to Krishna, to the extent that when you see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, you will be able to understand their minds, which is anything but lust. Embraces of Radha and Krishna is how by this embrace may you be pleased. There's no selfishness in this. There's no lust. It just has the form of lust, or rather, the forms in this material world of romance are just perverted forms of the adiras, the ultimate reality, which is an intense exchange of intimate love between the soul and God. And that intimate exchange of love is also an intimate exchange of God with his energies, specifically his internal potency. Bhakti Yogena Manasi. This is when Vyasadeva got chastised by this same Narada Muni, because in his effort to communicate the Vedas, he hadn't sufficiently glorified Krishna. Remember how I talked about realization entails realizing something so deeply that you can reform its message that fits the particular understanding, language, or frame of reference of the audience. Vyasadeva initially failed. He initially failed. It didn't completely give the real goal and essence and objective of faith of the Vedas. Vedaischa sarver, aham eva vedyo, vedanta vid vedavid. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. And because he was chastised by Vyasadeva, because he had faith and in the goal and a desire for the goal, he took that and then really began to search for how to present the Vedas in a way that would appropriately convey the goal of the Vedas. So bhakti yogena manasi, he engaged his mind in devotional service. I guess it was an intense prayer, probably, that it was an intense prayer to be able to serve his guru and become empowered. He was given this mission. Look at the frame of reference of the people in the age of Kali Yuga, and take these four Vedas and reformat it with their frame of reference, which includes not a very long span of life and not a very high degree of qualification. Buri Burini Karmani. The sages of Naimisharanya were concerned how to present this spiritual knowledge, because they are Trikaligya. They could see the future. And they saw the future, and they saw that people had Prayen Alpa, Yasha Shubha, Prayen Alpa, Prayen, your prana, Alpa, small. Prayen Alpa, Yasha, Kalab, Prayen Alpa, Prayen Alpa, Prayen Alpa. It's funny how it said a verse 1,000 times, and now somehow it might trick me. Prenalpa. Manda Samanda Matayo Manda. It just saw people were unqualified. They were lazy, they're prone to be cheated, and their mind was disturbed. And therefore it was impossible to give any indirect process. They'd never make it to the end, nor could they perform the purificatory rites of the mode of goodness to actually elevate themselves in a way that they can approach the subject with a pure mind. So Bhakti Yogena Manasi, Samyak Pranayate Male. So he became serious. Samyak, completely, Pranayate Male. Samyak, completely, Pranayate Male, without any dirt, without any distraction. And he saw Apasyat Purisham Purnam, Maya Chittata Pasyam. He saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead with his energies under his control, but at the same time exchanging with those energies. And the exchange of the Supreme Lord with the internal potency, he saw that exchange of energy was manifest in the Leela of Radha and Krishna, or the Leela of Krishna and his devotees. So this summary has the same progression to come to that point where you can see Krishna exchanging with his internal potency within the pastimes of Krishna. You can just see that loving energy, that selfless energy manifest, the ultimate reality. So the Bhagavatam does that. Atra sargas visargas jas tatir poshanam utthāya ishakanta manvatara narodha muktir ashraya. The goal is Krishna. The other subjects are trying to get you to understand, to hear about Krishna, to see Krishna, and to understand Krishna. So Narada's journey is the same way, because he's going through, as the Bhagavatam goes through different realizations of God, first as the creator, atra sargas visargascha, the ultimate immanence of God, that he's creating this universe. Atra sargas statir poshanam utthāya, and then being situated and seeing the supremacy of God. Satir poshanam, and when you do see that, you do take shelter, then you're protected. And when you act independently, utthāya, you get caught in fruitive activities. Manvatara, and then you read about Manvatar, the kings. So when you see, it's so important to see the kings, because our objective in this material world is to be the king or the queen. That's our objective, because they're the supreme controllers within this world. Although Prabhupada quotes an English poet when the king was very powerful and he wanted the tide to stop, and it said, "Time and tide stop for no man." So Manvatara, the kings, you have to study the kings. Why? Because you have to see that the objective that you're searching for in the future, everything will be okay. And you don't say the rest of the sentence, when I'm the controller and the enjoyer. We'll see what the king is. And you read about the kings and you see Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshana, Darshana. One of the qualities of knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita is Dukkha Darshana. you see darshana, dukkha darshana. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha darshana. Wait, janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha darshana. I'm forgetting today. It's strange. But you see that the duality of the world, in the sense that on the material platform things are temporary, and then filled either with loss or the potential of loss. And that if you don't achieve an eternal position, or if you're knowledgeable, you search for that. If you're knowledgeable, your goal is not the temporary positions, but rather the temporary positions in this world, socially and economically, are valuable if you connect them to that mission, or if they are connected to that mission. Tasyeva heto priyate kovido talabyate yad brahmatam ubar. One who is intelligent searches for that which has meaning. Searches for that which has meaning. So the manvatars, Ishakanta, and then the stories, Ishakanta, the stories of God and his devotees. Those who have actually achieved success, who have realized that happiness is a heart filled with devotion. Muktya, hitva, yatarupa, and then liberation. Identifying with your spiritual nature. Just like when you do deity worship, before you have to do bhuta shuddhi. Bhuta means the material encagement, and it has to be purified. And anyway, I was advised when doing deity worship just to worship Prabhupada. And the purification of my identity is that I am a servant of Guru and Krishna. Then you can enter into deity worship, not with sarvapati, not with all your material designations. Upadis also means degrees, PhD, MA, those are also upadis. But all the upadis that we have on the ultimate platform of bhakti, sarvapati veneer muktam, we become liberated from that. So the Bhagavatam also discusses the fact of real liberation is embracing and realizing some type of spiritual identity that goes beyond the limited confines of the body. And all those are meant to isolate Krishna. So that's the Bhagavatam and the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. The whole book is meant to isolate or understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, pastimes of Krishna with his devotees. And what drives the search, because Nārada is on his search for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, it is enthusiasm based on faith. Faith in the Shastra and faith in the experience we get from following the Shastra and serving Krishna and serving the devotees. So we can see Nārada has been driven by faith based on hearing. I'm having a wonderful time here in my ashram. It's really the first time I really had an ashram. And even though I have a few rooms, the guest houses nearby are private, and I know the people, and the devotees stay. So yesterday in my class, I didn't think, wow, there's going to be anybody here today. It was just Hemalatarada and Sham Kishore's last day in Govardhan. Now they went to Vrindavan for a couple of days before they go back to Argentina. And Yoga Maya, wonderful devotee, also came out. But the Iranian disciples came, and my friend from Croatia who has a bhakti center there, he came with all his people. And that's what I was speaking about, getting faith, getting that experience that gives you an objective and gives you the right objective, so that when you work hard and achieve it, you're actually satisfied. And I spoke about how and this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness movement. Even if we're not experiencing the highest bliss, at least we have faith in the right objective. And by practicing Krishna consciousness, we're moving towards that objective. That's why enthusiasm is so important. I remember on Prabhupada's disappearance day, Borijan told that story about Borijan told the story about these two really young girls, sisters from the Bronx, came, and they were some of the first lady devotees. I don't know if they stayed in the temple, but they really were interested in Krishna consciousness. And it was somebody's appearance day. I mean, one of the Janmashtami maybe, and they dressed up as Radha and Krishna, and with Prabhupada, they went on the subway, and I told this story. But the message is so important. And they were worshiping them on the subway. They were feeding them. They were doing artik, and Prabhupada was riding there this whole way. He didn't say anything, but later he wrote a letter, and Borijan made the point that how expert Prabhupada was, he didn't want to dampen their enthusiasm. He didn't want to dampen their enthusiasm. So interesting. So here's Narada's enthusiasm. Now, the part of the story that Prahlad deferred to Hanuman, because Prahlad is remembering Krishna, but Hanuman is enlivened with service. Means all his senses are seeing things in relationship to the pleasure of Krishna. Even tasting prasadam, because it's something that Krishna has enjoyed. You're tasting it, relishing how Krishna enjoyed. So Hanuman is service, but then when Hanuman is glorified, he says, well, I'm not with my Lord. He went to the spiritual world, left me here to kind of do his service. But the Pandavas are so extraordinary, because there is nothing, this was actually said, there is nothing that Krishna would not do for the Pandavas and the Pandavas would do for Krishna. So although they may had certain type of societal roles, they weren't confined to that. and described, you become the messenger, the servant, the friend. And that in that mood, in Hastinapur, in that mood where they're so intensely engaged in the service of Krishna. Hanuman's telling Narada, in that mood, where there's nothing Krishna won't do for the devotees, there's nothing where the devotees won't, where the Pandavas won't do for Krishna. And that mood is so powerful and so sweet. Matchita, matkata, prana, bodhiyantas parasparam. Where a place where matkata, prana, where Krishna is the life, he's the goal, he's the consciousness. Bodhiyantas parasparam. And one is always engaged in enlightening one another in Krishna consciousness. Śrī swa katha Krishna, punya shravana kirtana, hidyantasto yabhadrani, vidanoti sarit satam. It's so pleasing to Krishna when there's this mood of mutual service. And I have to say, during this Kartik, with the devotees that we hear, we really kept that spirit of service above ego. But when that's there, Śrī Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. The Shravana Kirtana is very purifying. Yadantasto Yabhadrani. It's a Bhadrani. It's so auspicious. Vidanoti Sarit Satam, because God is the well-wisher of the devotees. When he sees that type of attitude, he blesses them. And that's the template for spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the template. The template is creating a society of Vaishnavas where people see something that's extraordinary in terms of the selfless consciousness of people creating community where common interest is greater than self-interest. That's the history of how did the Sankirtan mission began. It began with the devotees meeting together in Sankirtan, which on the highest platform does not work unless people join together with a goal of glorification of God that trumps their self-interest, which I'm a great musician, I'm a great this. Nothing went out. Um, 1 second. Okay, back. So the devotees, Lord Chaitanya's devotees, they gathered together. It's like going forward to go out, creating a combustion of spiritual power that has to be shared. This is called anubhav. When devotion is so powerful, it has to go into action. Even I heard one description of Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by one sadhu in Vrindavan. He described that when Radha and Krishna, their love is so intense, but when there's the desire to give it to others, the sense of magnanimity becomes somewhat slightly greater than the mood of intimacy. And when that happens, then Radha Krishna become Lord Chaitanya and Vrindavan becomes Navadvip. So we saw that, the devotees, and then it just could not be contained. It's just like if it's a kirtan, you may have to dance. Emotion has to be expressed. Anyway, so this enthusiasm, he's heard. Then Narada now is hearing from Hanuman. He's interrupting him, but he's hearing from Hanuman how intimate these devotees are with Krishna. And he can't control himself. And he developed this intense desire to go, but because he's so full of emotion, he stands up, he sits down, he stood up again. And sa-hūṅkṛtam, and it's just so many emotions are coming out of Narada as Hanuman is explaining the glories of the Pandavas. Pandavanam Hanumanstu Katha-rasa namagnarit tatnitya vardhitananda pastutam varnayantilam. Hanuman's heart was immersed in transcendental taste from speaking about the Pandavas. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. How is bhakti created? It's created by bhakti. And what is kirtan? When the bhava, I mentioned this, when the bhava in the heart is expressed by the discipline of music. But it's not just an intellectual process. And that's also not the best kirtan, although it's guided by doing it appropriately. The impetus for it is that devotion that has to be expressed. So Hanuman's heart was immersed in this incredible feeling from speaking about the Pandavas. Speaking is a completely absorbing devotional activity because the intellect is at work when you have to reproduce something. When you have to reproduce something, it's very absorbing. I can't think of an activity that's more absorbing than sharing something about Krishna. I read something once that the best way to develop a critical mind is to speak, but even better than speak is to write. The mind becomes sharpened. And also the feelings of devotion. So, and the ecstasy kept on welling within Narada by hearing Hanuman's Krishna-katha. How would you like to be in a class by Hanuman? The morning Bhagavatam class will be given by Hanuman. And to feel Hanuman's bhava of devotion, his mood of incredible service. and because when the bhava in the heart is expressed by the discipline of music, people who really do kirtan, their heart is manifest within their talking. With his raised higher by dancing, he continued to speak about the topics. So this is the exchange. He sees Narada's ecstasy, and Narada is interrupting him, by the way, and he's not even disturbed by that. He's just watching the ecstasy of Narada hearing, and that enlivens him. And he continued to speak. Commentary: Hanuman did not join Narada's in dancing because Hanuman's ecstasy lay in speaking to glorify the Pandavas more and more. His attraction to this katha was not a mundane urge to speak for self-satisfaction, but rasa, a transcendental sweet taste known only to pure Vaishnavas. So what was the impetus for his speaking? It wasn't a mundane urge, which is born of the desire to control and enjoy. It was a devotional urge. It was an offering of service. The katha rasa acts like an intoxicating liquor. It makes those who drink it forget the pain of material life by immersing them in complete satisfaction and happiness. Hanuman was not annoyed when Narada interrupted his speech with ecstatic dancing and shouts of joy. Quite the opposite, his ecstasy increased, and he felt inspired to go on speaking more and more. So now he was interrupted by Narada. Now he's going to continue with the glorification. Si Hanuman uvāca tesham apad karna eva sattama shu susevataha ye vidhaya prabhun vyagram sandhya sangamayanti te. Hanuman said, all the calamities that befell the Pandavas were most auspicious and desirable because those calamities made the personality of Godhead anxious to join the Pandavas quickly. So you make sacrifice for an objective according to the value you place in that objective. So the Pandavas' objective was Krishna. And because they had so much faith in Krishna, then any trouble and difficulty they went through, that enabled them to have Krishna's association, in their mind was a small price to pay. Commentary: whenever Krishna heard that the Pandavas were in danger, he would want to drop whatever he was doing and go at once to help them. And since the Pandavas' misfortune was auspicious, how much more auspicious was their good fortune? So he's talking about how auspicious they are. Not only they love Krishna, but Krishna loves them. Krishna helped the brothers kill Jarasan and then washed the feet of everyone at the Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. So who can adequately describe the glory of the Pandavas' loving exchanges with Krishna? Before, Hanuman had said that the Pandavas' troubles were not real, that they were only a show arranged by Krishna to advertise the Pandavas' steadfastness and other saintly qualities. Now Hanuman speaks differently. Even taking for granted that the calamities were real, as they seemed to ordinary eyes, these troubles brought the Pandavas the greatest fortune. Okay, somehow or another today, I'm a little bit fatigued. I don't know why. But Jamunajaya, you have anything?
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you so much for class. It's interesting. I'm at Yoga Maya, and I'm in the room where on one side there's a great big beautiful picture of Hanuman, and all the way across is a beautiful picture of Krishna. So when you said about imagine a class being given by Hanuman, who I love so much, I was like, Jai, what a class that would be. And so it was so beautiful to look at those pictures. And then I also loved your phrase when you said that we have to create a combustion of devotion. That was just, it's such a great image of it. It has to come out. So I really love it.
You have to come together, though.
Yeah.
That's the secret. The secret of spreading Krishna consciousness is communities that are Vaishnavas, where they think of others before themselves. That's what works.
You always have that beautiful definition of the difference between a community and a crowd.
Yeah, right. Community. Thank you for reminding me.
I love those definitions.
Community is common interests. Crowd, right? The same amount of people could be together, but it's a completely different thing. I know a friend, he used to like to be in New York to be alone. Right? No one cares for you, you know, walk around. When I grew up, the most famous thing that happened was, things stick in my mind. Like, I remember when someone was bombing Con Edison. They kept on getting bombs. And I remember the name to this day, George Matetsky. They captured the guy. He was a clerk that got dissatisfied. Then there was another one called Kitty Genovese. And she was famous that she was murdered in a project, and like 25 people saw it and no one called the police. So there's different ways to be alone. You can be alone in a crowd when you don't want to. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else like to share something, Gail?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. I'm just an ocean of mercy today.
I didn't hear. You're an ocean of mercy?
Today. Today only.
What did you? Oh, great. Oh, I understand. Thank you, Gail. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That's because I didn't see it's not, but it's not. I thought when I don't feel so flowing, then you say it's a great class. But today, when I don't feel flowing, you said I'm going to be very merciful, which means there was nothing original that I said. Okay. Haribo. Bob, Haribo. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, where are you guys? In Iowa?
We are, yeah.
Okay.
Great to see and hear you. Thank you very much for the class.
Oh, I'd love to see both of you.
Thank you.
Great. I'm here with your friend, Brahmatirtha.
Oh,
how wonderful.
He came to see me yesterday. We spent hours, and my disciple cooked like a really wonderful lunch for him. And, he was great, science and humor. But I can't, everyone appreciated his ethnic jokes, but I can't put them. But, okay, I'll just tell you one. Maybe it's because he's Jewish, he could say the joke, okay? Oh, anyway, he said, "What's a Jewish dilemma? Free ham." Okay. Okay. It's the wrong time to say that. Okay, Haribo.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Gumaraj, Tota Gopinath here. So great to hear from you.
Okay,
Krishna.
great. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Garaj, it's all Govinda.
And Bṛhad,
Thank you for class.
Hey, Haribo.
Haribo.
We had a nice second initiation
Mm.
Oh, wow, nice.
at Raghunath's house.
Very nice.
It was
I
quite spontaneous.
got a couple pictures from it.
For who sent them?
Raghunath.
Oh yeah, it was quite spontaneous.
Nice.
And yeah, Hemalata Radha, Shamki Shore, and Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta.
Wow.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and Shamki Shore, he's a great cook. He's really a great cook. So he brought everything. He cooked a really wonderful lunch we had there. It was kind of very intimate. Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
Anybody else? Hello.
Good morning. Hare Krishna Maharaj, Divat saying thank you for class.
Okay, it's getting cold. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class.
Hey, Amala. I think with that chart, Neem Karoli Baba has nothing on you. Okay, anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-Amrita. Thank you so much. I'm impressed when you explained that this temporary world is a loss or a potential of a loss. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yavat Sundari from
Hey,
Kish.
Haribo. Thank you.
Haribo.
Great.
Thank you very
Okay.
much for the class. Yeah, thank you very
so
much.
much. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Gurudev, Hare Krishna. This is
Amala.
Amala.
Our prayers for that section of the world. Haribo. Okay, Haribo. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Govardhan Bhaktadas.
Haribo. Govardhan, can you send me your daughter's email? Because when I saw her the last time, she said that maybe she'd like to come to my retreat in Colombia next time. So I'll send an invitation. Okay?
Yeah, I would send.
I will. Nice to hear from you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to head out now. Thank you all for coming. Vanchakalpa Tribhya